Okay. The next one, I would like to bring you through today's agenda briefly and introducing all the speakers of this webinar. So we will have Yiwi, that our General Manager of Softline Thailand and Malaysia, to do an opening remark on Softline and how Softline is your ideal IT digital transformation partner. Besides that, he will also share a high level of the current market trends of the cloud security importance. Second speaker will be Kieran. Kieran will be sharing on the Azure Defender topic, and followed by Nigel. Nigel will be sharing the topics on Azure Sentinel, as well as the most anticipated session of everyone's here, which we will be sharing the offerings that we will offer to the attendees exclusively. And before we end our webinar, there will be a Q&A session for everyone to raise your question, and don't hesitate to unmute yourself. Okay, so I'm going to pass the session to Yiwi. So Yiwi, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much, Rachel. And good morning to all. Obviously, if you look at the background, I'm at home, right? So Rachel, do I take control and control that slide myself?
You may, up to you. I may also control for you. Yeah.
Sure. Let me go back here again. Up. Oops. It looks like I cannot go to slide number 5. But you might do the control for me then.
Sure, no problem. Give me a second. Let me re-upload. Sorry for make you guys waiting. Give me a second. Okay, I just want to check if you guys are able to see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, okay, you may begin.
Yeah. Thanks, Rachel. So good morning once again, and thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm Yiwi. I'm the country manager for both Softline Thailand and Malaysia. I think it would take too much of your time. As all of us know, right, by now, we have moved from close to almost 2 years of a pandemic, right? I think now we are going towards the endemic. But I think for this particular disaster that we have, right, actually we accelerate the way how we work, right, remotely, right? So I think before the 2019, right, we were all having the flexibility to do a bit of work from home, work remotely, but it looks like now everyone is working remotely or working from home most of the time. And yesterday, actually, I read a LinkedIn article. They do a public survey on how workers will want to work from now on, right? It's a good 40 to 50% of the people who took part in the survey will want to work from home, or the flexibility to work from home. And the rest of the remaining, maybe about 10, 15%, chose to work 100% in the office. That shows the great shape of how people are moving towards. Of course, with that, right, and anyway, we accelerate the bring your own device, work from home trend. And currently, actually, on my table itself, I have more than 3 devices all connecting to my office emails, tools to work with each another, right? So we have each person will have more than one tools, right, to connect back to the office, and that is actually open up more gates for potential hackers to come into our system. So that need of having a very good security system to protect our email, our cloud system against ransomware, malware, cyber crimes are even more important now. If you look at that last statement in this particular slide, right? The growth for worldwide cloud security will actually reach 68.5 billion by the year of 2025. That is a huge jump, and that shows how people are taking this as the number one priority, right, for all the IT expenditure for the next few years. Rachel, would you mind next screen, please? Okay, if you look at why Microsoft, right? Microsoft just this quick snapshot has improved tremendously in this segment for the last 2 years, and the latest from Forrester's, they are at the very top of the quadrant. If you see, right, the Boardroom and Netscape and Forcepoint are all slightly below. Right? Richard, next, please. Okay, why Softline, right? Softline, we've been in the Microsoft, we are a Microsoft partner more than 25 years ago. We started as a Russian SI company. In Malaysia, we have been here for more than 10 years. Last year, we were Partner of the Year in Malaysia, Bulgaria, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And a year before, we are the Teams Champion of the Year for Microsoft Malaysia, for example. So we have all our experts and we have all our experience worldwide just to help you set up a more secure system. Richard, would you mind next? Okay. So a little bit more about us as a company. Last year, right, or a year before, our revenue is about 1.8 billion worldwide. We have about 6,000 plus employees, and we cover about 50 countries, about 95 cities. Right. In this region, we cover almost the entire APAC, except China and Indonesia, of course Australia. But we cover left to right, or almost all countries. Rachel, next, please. So these are good map illustrations. You can see where we cover. Okay. Right. The good news is, in fact, we just went listed about a week and a half ago, worldwide in both London Stock Exchange and also in Moscow Stock Exchange. For the last couple of years, we expanded very, very fast. We also took some initiative to acquire a few companies. Some of these companies are from Europe. You may not be familiar with them. MB actually is the closest here. It is in India, actually, right? And Softline AG, which is very much involved in the operation in Malaysia because they specialize software asset management professional services as well. And in Malaysia, we are actually pushing towards that area as well. And if you are interested, please do let us know. Rachel, next, please. Okay, these are some of the products. I won't go into detail that we would do. We provide definitely the cloud services, the security services as well. And we do work with all these partners of ours to provide that services. Rachel. Okay, this is a quick glance of what we provided as a company. But in Malaysia, we will do a lot of digital transformation, cybersecurity, and cloud and IoT. So these are the major big things that we do in Malaysia. And of course, we have One Box Microsoft Solutions. It is our biggest partner. And so I think my slide ends here. I don't want to take too much of your time. I would like to leave my colleagues Nigel and Kieran to talk about the Defender and Sentinel for the next 45 minutes. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Yui. Thanks for your presentation. So now I will move on to the next second presenter. Let's welcome Kieran. Kieran, over to you.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Yui. So, okay, first of all, I would like to thank Yui for walk us through a little bit of Softline. So good morning, everyone. My name is Kiran and I am the Azure Sales Specialist in Softline. So thank you everyone who is interested and joined today's webinar. So without further ado, let's start with Protect Your Hybrid Cloud with Azure Defender. So there is no doubt that the pandemic situation changed the way we live and also the work significantly. So as a society and a workforce, we have to adapt to the newer mindset and norms for BPO, business continuity. And much of our workforce is working remotely as a result of the pandemic environment. Most businesses, while being focused on the remote work setup, they did not fully grasp the potential risks for information security. So, what are the risks? People now work outside the company network using a different device on the network with the unknown security level, leading to the security incident that are not even noticed. At the same time, the attack keep increasing, and then also the span different parts of the enterprise and across the various resources that it might take, start from an IoT device, proceed to an endpoint, and then spread to a cloud services or a database. It did involve in the multiple user accounts or tenant as well. There can be a desired consequences for the business, such as undetermined reputations, the sensitive data exposure, the financial losses, and even inability to operate.
Sorry, Kiran. We are still looking at your introduction slide, the
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is still within the slide.
Okay. Okay. So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no worry, no
Yeah,
worry.
you may continue. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Rachel. Okay, just then I will continue back. So, with the collaboration from the Microsoft, we will share how the Microsoft solutions empower your organization to stay connected, productive, and secure. So, I would like to start with the Azure Security Center, which addresses the three most urgent security challenges that faced by most of the organization. The first one will be the visibility into the security and compliance. The number of the security alerts and alerting system are far outnumbers the numbers of the administrator with the necessary background and experience to make sure your environment are protected. So having an end-to-end visibility into your security and compliance will help you to staying up to date with the latest attack is a constant challenge and making it impossible to stay in a place while the world of the security is an ever-changing front. And then the next one will be the increasing the sophisticated attacks. Whenever your company run the workloads, the attacks will keep getting more sophisticated. So for the IT managers or whoever IT admin, they need to ensure to secure the public cloud workloads, which are in effect an internet-facing workload that can leave you even more valuable if you don't follow the security best practices. And then lastly will be the rapidly changing workload and the insecure configuration, which is referred to the time to respond. So rapidly changing the workload is both a strength and also a challenge of the cloud. On the other hand, end users are empowered to do more. So how do you make sure that the ever-changing services people are using and creating are up to your security standard and follow your security best practices? Okay, so for Microsoft, Azure is the only cloud platform built by a security vendor. As you can see, there are more than 400,000 of the existing customer is already starting to use Microsoft Azure, and the number is keep increasing day by day. And what I would like to emphasize is Microsoft did invest heavily in security. They have more than 3,007 experts in the data center and spend more than 1 billion annually on the security. So from the security's perspective, it showed that the Microsoft willing to invest while provide the best security practice and providing the high SLA guarantee to their customer. And just information sharing in 2020, there are 6 billion malware threats were blocked by the Defender, and there are 8 trillion signals Microsoft takes in every 24 hours. So basically, this is the cloud kill change model. So when there is a attacking on the cloud infrastructure, this is the 4-step process, which is the exposure, access, lateral movement, and action. So exposure is where the attacker look for the opportunity to gain access to your infrastructure, and then whenever they success, they will attack your the vulnerability and also exploit the weak credential in the exposed application. Meanwhile, during the access, of course, the attacker will gain access to your public cloud infrastructure, and then they can compromise the user credential or making it for the misconfigured resources. So with the compromised instances, the attacker can gain access to the instance and get whatever information they want. So during the lateral movement stage, the attacker will discover what are the resources they have access, and especially they will targeting on the sensitive information or the database, because the client database is the most valuable asset to the company, and this is why the attacker are mainly attack and also target for the database and as well as the sensitive information. So the last one will be the action. So the action that taken by the attacker will affect the company of the data loss and also the financial loss. So by knowing all this is what we are going to promote today, the Azure Defender. So Azure Defender is also renaming for Defender for Cloud by just, I think, few weeks back. Okay, this is just for your information. So for this Defender for Cloud is a tools for security posture management and also threat protection. It strengthens the security posture of your cloud resources with its integrated Defender for Cloud protects workloads that is running in the Azure, the hybrid, and as well as other cloud platform. So what Security Center and also Defender will help you to harden your resources, track your security posture against the cyber attack, and streamline the security management. And for this, Defender for Cloud will fill 3 vital needs as you manage the security of your resources and workload, no matter in the cloud or on premises, which are continuous access, secure score, and defend. Besides, you may leveraging Azure Arc to protect for your hybrid cloud, but we are not covering Azure Arc today because this will be a very broad topic to talk about. Okay, so Microsoft Defender for Cloud features cover the 2 broad pillars of the cloud security, the cloud security posture management, and also the cloud workload protection. So in Defender of Cloud, the posture management features provide the visibility. So during the invisibility is to help you understand your current situation, which you can see the new introduced security dashboards interface. So in the Azure portal, you will have a clear and a simple view, which can tell you at a glance to identify all your security related state. And then the second will be giving you the hardening guidance. It will also help you efficiently and effectively improve the security. The central feature in Defender for Cloud that enable you to achieve those goals is the secure score. And we will talk about the secure score later. Meanwhile, Defender for Cloud also continuously accesses to your resources, your subscription, your organization for the security issue. So the higher the score, the lower the identify of your company risk level. Okay, security posture management with the secure score. So this is the strengthened security posture that is provided by the Azure Defender Center. It helps you to identify and perform the hardening tasks recommended as the security best practices and implement them across your machine, your data, services, and apps as well. This will also including managing and enforcing your security policy, making sure that the Azure virtual machine, non-Azure server, your on-prem server, and also any Azure platform as a service, PaaS service, are compliant. So the security center will provide you with the tools that you need to have a bird's eye view on your workloads with focused visibility on your network security estate. With so many service offering security benefit, it's often hard for the customer to know what is the step to take the first to secure and also harden the workload, because there will be a lot of the attack are encountered by the company, and there are a lot of the resources they are having in their Azure environment. So they will never know in which they need to prioritize. So by using the secure score that is provided by the Microsoft, you can prioritize the recommendation and then remediate, perform the remediate immediately. So this will also help you to find the most serious security vulnerability, so you can prioritize on the investigation. The compliance management and assessment. So it is a basic to know to make sure that your workloads are secure, and start with the tailored security policy that are making in every of their companies. Because the policy in Defender for Cloud are built on top of the Azure policy control. So you are getting the full range and the flexibility of a world-class policy solution. Besides, you can also set the policy to run on your management group across the subscription and even for a whole tenant. So Defender for Cloud continuously discover the new resources that are being deployed across your workload and assess whether they are configured according to the security best practice. So let's say if it is not, they will be flagged and you will get a prioritized list of the recommendation for what you need to fix and what you need to do. So the recommendation will help you to reduce the attack surface across each of your resources, of course. The list of the recommendation is enabled and also supported by the Azure Security Benchmark. So this Microsoft Auto Azure specific benchmark will provide a set of the guidelines for the security and compliance best practices based on the common compliance framework. So the example on the compliance is maybe like the certificate ISO 27001, the PCI, DSS, and etc. Next will be on the inventory view from the Azure Security Center. So this inventory view will able to help you understand how important each of the recommendation to your overall security posture. So the recommendation will group into the security control and add a security score value to each to the control. This is crucial in enabling you to prioritize your security network. So the single view, so you can have a look here. This is the single view of all of your monitor resources. So there will also have a easy filtering. You can filter whatever the services, maybe by the properties. If you have assigned the tag for certain resources or certain department, you can filter by the tags as well. And then besides that, if you need a report, you can also export to the CSV. And then of course you can build the reports and also the Azure workbook and etc. And this is the secure score that I've been mentioning just now. So as you can see, this is the example of the dashboard. So by far, the higher the score will be the more secure of your company. So from here we can see the red one is the is the one that they are having the resources issue. So by right, the more green color will show the more secure of the particular resources. So by leveraging on this dashboard, you can prioritize on which is the most resources application, or maybe your database that you need to focusing. And if you follow the practice and also the recommendation that are recommended by the Azure, so you can see there's a potential score increase in that particular resources. Okay. And yes, this is the Azure Defender dashboard. So the Azure Defender dashboard will also provide the security alerts. So when the Defender for Cloud that is detects any threats in any area of your environment, it will generate a security alert. This alert describes the details of the affected resources and will also giving you the suggested remediation step. So whether an alert is generated or received, so you can export it out also. So to export your alert, you may also leveraging on the other services that is Microsoft Sentinel. This is or any third-party SIEM. So for Microsoft Sentinel, later my colleagues Nigel will be more emphasized and further deep dive into it if you're interested to know more. Okay, so for this Azure Defender dashboard also provide advanced threat protection features for the virtual machine, SQL data, containers, web applications. So it also help the protection, including the secure the management port of your VM with the just-in-time access and adaptive application control to create, allow the list for what apps should and shouldn't run on the machine. So by using the Microsoft Azure, the customer able to integrate the threat protection for your enterprise. You may be using the Azure, the SIEM tools, Azure Sentinel, or any third-party tools. So for the Microsoft 365 Defender, will cover for the emails, the endpoint, the identity of the credential, and the apps. Meanwhile, for the Microsoft Azure Defender will cover the infrastructure, such as your SQL database, your server VMs, the container that you have created inside, the network traffic, and so on. Okay, so when we are talking and also come to the server protection, here are some of our recommendations. There are two main capabilities you can use most of the day. The first one will be the just-in-time access. So whenever there is a brute force attack, an attacker can take control over the VM and establish a foothold into your environment. So the one way to reduce the exposure to the brute force is to limit the time of the port is open. So when the just-in-time is unable, the security center will use the network security group, which is stand for NSG, and the Azure firewall rules, which will also restrict the access to management port, so the attacker cannot attack to the resources. And then the second one will be limit the open ports with the adaptive network hardening. By also leveraging on the NSG, Network Security Group, it will help you to filter the traffic to and from the resources and improve your network security posture. However, there can be still some in the case where is the actual traffic flowing through the NSG is a subset of the NSG rule defined. So in this is the case, there is a further improving on the security posture can be achieved by hardening the rules based on the actual traffic patterns. Other than that, we also have a few of the recommendation, which is to block the malware with the adaptive application control. So adaptive application control is an intelligent, automated end-to-end solution from Azure Security Center, which help you control your application that can run on your Azure and non-Azure machine, which is maybe the Linux. So among other the benefits, this will help to harden your machine against the malware. The Security Center will use the machine learning to analyze the application running on your machine to create an allowed list from this intelligence. This capability will greatly simplify the process of the configuration and maintaining the application allowed list policy. Last but not least will be the third recommendation is to protect the Windows Server with the built-in Microsoft Defender ATP. ATP stands for the Azure Advanced Threat Protection. So the Azure Security Center will come with the best EDR in the market, which is the Microsoft Defender ATP. So next one, I'm not sure whether if most of the customers are already aware that actually the support for the SQL Server 2012 will end of support on sooner of the next year. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why we are engaging our customer to move from their existing on-premise SQL database to the Azure. So how does the Azure Defender protect your SQL database? So there will be a threat intelligence and risk security alert trigger when there is a potential SQL injection attack, including the vulnerability detected when the application generates a faulty of the SQL statement in the database. And then there will be also an anomalous database access and query pattern. For example, an abnormal of the high number of the field sign-in attempt with the different credential. This is considered a brute force attempt. And then the next is also the suspicious database activity. And then for this one, the example is maybe a legitimate user accessing an SQL server from a breached computer with communicate with a crypto mining CNC serve and etc. So to start using the Azure Defender for your storage is very simple. As you can see, how do you start to using it is actually you can enable it with just one click. Once you started, it will it will provide a contextual alerts upon unusual and any potential harmful attempts to breach your storage account. And all the relevant recommendation will be sending you through the security alerts and will suggest you what is the best remedial action. And you may also utilize the advanced capability of the security AI and Microsoft Threat Intelligence. And let's say if there is any remedial action you wanted to investigate, you can integrate with the Azure Sentinel as well. So this is the Breadth Threat Protection with the Microsoft Azure Cloud Defender. So the Azure Defender for Resource Manager, it automatically helps to monitor all your resources. And let's say if there is any suspicious, it will also help to detect and of course, will send alert to the IT admin or the IT managers to know what is the next step, where is the portion that they need to enhance and also hardening their security. Of course, there will be also a Azure Defender for the DNS. So it will continuously also monitor all the DNS query from the Azure resources, as well as send the alerts when there is suspicious activity is detected. And then last will be the Azure Defender for keyword. Of course, similar to all of these, will detect any unusual, potential harmful attempt to exploit the Azure keyword. Next, I would like to share some case study, which is the success story from Softline. First of all, we have an enterprise holding company that is focusing on the music instrument business. They are having 1,002 employees spread across the 11 locations globally. So initially, what are their business problem is they wanted to search for a unified IT management and infrastructure by having most of their workload will be on the cloud. And then they also wish to build the right platform to create a manufacturing factor for the future. So what we are approaching is we have successfully migration of their data center to Azure. Of course, we do provide our extensive support hour, that is 14 hours, okay, to cover whatever the customer present in the UK, Europe, and the APAC. And then we also help them to modernize their IT software application for the smoother user experience, and as well as help them to practice the cost optimization and as well as the Microsoft security. And we will provide the roadmap strategy for their future development. So the end result is we successfully to help them from the perspective of the cost effective for infra running on the Azure. So they have the full control of the budget and billing for each of the department. This is referring to the CapEx and the OpEx, because by default, if they are using the on-premise infrastructure, they have to pay an upfront, a big chunk capital for their CapEx. So by leveraging on Microsoft Azure is a OpEx, which they need to pay per use. So they will have the insight of how much roughly will they need to pay on every of the month. So they have a better control on the cost and also the budget. And then of course there is a streamlined management of the infra we are providing for them. The next one is a public listed engineering and construction company with 4,000 employees and business spanning across the 8 countries. So what are they actually looking initially is they want to centralize their business to consumer experience portal with the Microsoft solution. So they are also aiming to unify its portal management with the future-ready, agile, secure Azure cloud capabilities. So what we are approaching is we fulfill the customer expectation with a POC, the proof of concept. We are helping them to run the demonstration based on the proven case, and then to customize whatever their relevant environment that is on their on-prem, and then make it future-proof on the IT infrastructure that can be worked on Microsoft Azure. And then of course, the end result is customer have a one single pane of glass for the data management, a new service, and provide seamless sign-in experience for their customer and consumer. So what are you waiting for today? So you can take action today by enable your security center to access to your secure score, to know the secure score for your current company security levels. By leveraging on the secure score, you can also showcase to your top management on how secure is your current environment, comparing from the on-prem to the on-cloud. And then by using the recommendation and remediate action provided by the Azure is a very good suggestion as well. So you can fix the top 5 secure score and then start the trial for the Azure Defender to protect the hybrid cloud workloads. So why do we mention the start the trial for the Azure Defender is because for whoever that are trying or wish to use the Azure Defender on their Azure environment or their Azure subscription, there is a free 1-month trial. So it is a very good some kind of proof of concept or to let the customer to familiarize with the dashboard, the interface that is provided from the Azure Security Center. And then you may also onboard your on-premise and other cloud workloads to the Azure Securities to have a full glance of your whole infrastructure, not just only on cloud, but also on-prem to check how secure is your company on the database and also the infrastructure wise. So basically, this is my slide and thank you. Next, I will pass to Nigel. He is the solution sales specialist in Softline. So she will be more focusing and giving you a deep dive on the Azure Sentinel.
Thanks, Kieran. Thanks for the introduction of Nigel as well on behalf of me. So, guys, if you have not aware that there's actually a question posted in our chat, and then the question is regarding if Microsoft 365 Defender cover online SharePoint and OneDrive. So the answer for that question, basically from my colleagues, is that Azure Defender is actually used to protect the Azure resources and services such as the VM, the storage, and etc. etc. So to protect the SharePoint Online or OneDrive for business, you may need to leverage on the Microsoft Defender for Office 365. Yeah. So besides that, I do have one question that I want to ask Kieran as well. So Kieran, I do wonder how much is the cost for the Azure Defender? Yeah.
Okay, so I believe the cost or the price for the services is mostly the main concern for all of our customers. So what I can telling you is the pricing for the Azure Defender is actually calculated by the resources that you are having in your Azure subscription. It can be calculated from how many instances you have, how many app services or any SQL database on Azure that you have. So I would like to let you guys know, let's say if you guys have one server in the Microsoft Azure subscription, and then the price will roughly on 14.6 USD per instances. Okay, but of course, the more that you have, the more services that you have. This is mainly on the instances lah. But let's say if there is app services, that will be a different cost lah. So if you wish to know more about the pricing, to know the cost estimation of the Azure Defender that your company are using, you may look for us. Then we will help you from there.
Great, Kieran. So guys, I'll be sharing our contact or a form for you to fill out towards the end. So you may drop your interest or questions if you have any further questions. So without further ado, let's move on to Nigel. Nigel, over to you. You may take control of the slide. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Rachel, and also Kieran as well for sharing what Azure Defender can actually do to protect your environment in a more secure manner. So good morning, everyone. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Nigel, and I'm a solution sales specialist in Softline. So before actually we start the webinars, right? I hope everyone actually managed to grab a cup of coffee or tea so that you don't fall asleep, especially during today after the rain, right? While I walk you through the rest of the series. All right. So now some of the challenges that I usually hear from many of our customers or peers or even the security teams that I talk to. And these are some of the most common challenges that they're actually facing. So if you can see on the right over here, rising infrastructure cost. The modern SIEM tools, it's mostly built in cloud native. So having something that has to consume compute resources, especially storage resources, is not viable for most of the organization out there, especially the amount of data that is ingested into it. It is difficult to actually forecast to span the cost of the growth, right? And another challenges such as the deployment maintenance. So they spend more time in just maintaining the solution rather than responding to the events or incident that is happening into the environment. All right. And then another challenges that I also work with tend to just leverage on the SIEM as a checkbox. So the primary aspect is to basically fulfill the audit requirement, the company audit requirement. So by using the SIEM, it actually checks the box for compliance requirement. And only minority really use their data proactively. Okay. And then we also have some challenges in terms of sophisticated threats that are unable to actually correlate multiple different data sets together. And then I also hear a lot of security teams or whatsoever from our peers that the security, especially the security skill sets, to find a very good experienced security professionals, it's not cheap, and also it's kind of hard, especially all the security out there, like for example, Microsoft, AWS, GCP, maybe some security company like Palo Alto, Cisco, and many more, you name it, are also actually finding the same professionals. So they are actually on high demand, all right? Now, what is Azure Sentinel? Azure Sentinel is a scalable cloud-native security information event manager, as known as SIEM, and also a security orchestration automated response, known as SOAR solution. So it delivers intelligent security analysis and threat intelligence across the enterprise, providing a single solution for alert detection, threat visibility, proactive hunting, and threat response. And I want you to look at the circle on the right over here. So it collects data across the organization from not only all users directories, it also collects data from devices, applications, and infrastructures, both on-premises and multi-cloud. And then next, then it's processed all the data that is coming in, attempting to detect previously undetected threats. And the most important is to minimize false positive alerts or alarm using Microsoft Analytics and AI together with machine learning as well. And then from there, it's going to allow you to investigate those threats by automatically creating an incident and guiding you through the investigation process with AI and hunt for suspicious activities at scale. And then it can automatically respond to the incident rapidly with built-in orchestration and automation of everyday tasks. And we'll get into it later. All right. So it's really a bird's eye view. So in short, a broad view of what is happening in your organization. So you have a broader view of what really happening in your organization. And now a little bit of about Azure Sentinel. It's built into Azure. So you are not deploying any kind of infrastructures to be able to use these services, and you are not going to do any kind of ongoing maintenance of that infrastructures as well. It's all available through the Azure portal, and it really has no limitations. You can feed as much data into it, and you are not confined by the hardware to be able to process that data, or storage to be able to process that data as well. You can even bring your own machine learning models and your own threat intelligence. And then you can feed these information into Azure Sentinel as well. And it also has ties into the broader security community at large, even Microsoft Security Operations Center, SOC, and then GitHub as well. So you can actually get intelligence not only from yourself, your SOC team, and you can even get the intelligence from others as well throughout the communities. So on top of that, you can build interactive dashboard to visualize and analyze the data through Jupyter notebooks or even playbooks as well. Okay. And again, Azure Sentinel collects data from multiple resources. Okay, feeds that data into the systems to process it using user entities and behavioral analytics, machine learning as well. It's performing queries on that data, and then it's responding through what we call a playbook. And then later we'll talk about what is playbook as well. So tracks it and might find in the data. And the data is stored in the Azure Monitor Service. And then from there, you can integrate with, it allows you to automatically create tickets on your ticketing system as well. And you can also integrate this with any existing ticketing system that you have, like for example, ServiceNow. Okay, you can integrate this as well. And then you can also integrate with other SecOps tools, and then even share threat intelligence through the GitHub communities. So your peers, people around the world actually knows what is happening, and they might be able to assist you as well. Okay, and then playbooks and advanced hunting queries. So when you think of Azure Sentinel, I really want you to think of not only that circles that I have shown you in the previous slides, but it is more of a data science tool. And all this data that it's collecting, you need to be able to pass through it. And the traditional challenges with that is we don't have enough people to do it. And the most important is the right skill set to do it. And so Azure Sentinel does that for you automatically. So this is pretty much very cool, and I pretty like it. And how about the pricing? And I want to emphasize that again, there's no infrastructures for you to deploy. You only pay for what you use, and you can actually bring your Office 365 data in at no cost. And you can even do capacity reservation to make it even cheaper. So one thing I would like you to think about it is that with the traditional SIEM, you are setting up the hardware, right? You are setting up a hardware. So you need to forecast how much storage you need to cater for this set of workloads. Okay, and then you also need to maintain that hardware as well. So people like security professionals or ITs, administrators have to actually maintain the set of hardwares, databases, servers, and new capacities, as well as troubleshooting. Okay, so all the operations goes along with that, and then you need to manage the software on top of it. In addition to that, your security analysts they are not necessarily spending their days going through the data and finding threats. Okay, they are trying to, most of the time, they are trying to manage and maintain the system, whereas the Azure Sentinel is all in the cloud, and you do not need to do those managing that I mentioned just now. Instead, you can focus on finding those threats in the data, okay, and how you want to respond to those threats. Next, how do we bring data into it? Because Azure Sentinel is native in Azure, it integrates out of the box with Microsoft solutions. Okay? Microsoft information protections, like such as the Azure Active Directories, the Azure Security Centers, the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint that my colleague has mentioned just now. Same goes to the identities. All of those products are pre-integrated with each other. So what if it is a non-Microsoft solutions? So there are actually a lot of connectors out there. For example, AWS, VMware, and etc. You name it, that you can use to bring in that data as well. And if you don't have that connectors, you can actually build your own. And you could also leverage the standard logs format. So for example, if your source use syslog format, you can use that to bring that data in, and you can even bring that in over a REST API as well. So it's pretty much flexible out there, I would say. And I want to point the fact that you can ingest data at no cost into Azure Sentinel, such as the Azure Activity Logs and the Office 365 data audit logs. Okay. All the Microsoft Defenders product, like for example, Azure Defenders, Microsoft 365 Defenders, Defenders for Office 365, and much more. You can even bring ingest in data from the MCAS, Microsoft Cloud App Securities. Ingest data from Azure Information Protection can be ingested with no additional cost as well. Same goes to the Azure Sentinel and Azure Center, sorry. So as far as detecting threats, you have these data source that are connected to the system. It is importing all this data and it is stored in Azure monitors, and then it uses built-in templates to detect threats by sifting through that data. Those templates are built by Microsoft Security Operations Center, and also the threats are from the security community as well. You can also build your own custom rules as well, and therefore it allows you to identify that suspicious activities through building these rules. When you have these rules that is correlated with each others, it actually helps you to create an incident. And it adds those rules and alerts to the incident automatically. So once you want to investigate an incident, which is a collection of alerts, it allows you to visualize of all that raw data that is actually collected. So as you can see from the right, you can actually visualize the raw data. Okay. Then you can see that we found a threat, like for example, field logon anomaly. We can even see the severity, who are the users' identity is tied to, and other thing that is actually happening with that. So user identity on what host potentially affecting cloud apps, and it actually allows me to visualize the entire queue chain. So from there, I can use some pre-built queries, all right, through threat hunting to able to sniff through the data, and then to be able to figure out what to do next, and of course, respond to it with a playbook. So as far as visualizing the data, there's an interactive dashboard built into the Azure Sentinel. And this is a form of an Azure Monitor workbook. You can build this interactive dashboard in Azure Sentinel for security operation team, your SOC team, to use it. You can even build a very high level one for your CISO or your CIO and any of your executive leadership as well. So they can have a view of what is happening around the environment. And you can also extend this to the Power BI to be able to visualize this data as well. And this is really cool. It allows you to visualize the data because it just helps you a better understanding what is happening around the environment. And another features that we call the playbooks, the one that I'm referring just now. And this is built in with orchestration automation. And if anyone of you who is familiar with Power Automate, it is quite similar to Power Automate, except it is a way more complex and a lot more to do into it. And this allows you to automatically or manually respond to an alert with a collections of data sets that you predefine. Okay, and then as the alerts comes in, it can trigger this playbook. As you can see on the right over here, there are logic built into it that can do different things. So now let me give you an example for this. One example is as the alerts comes in, and you can have it automatically create service desk tickets for you. Another example is if you are running a Defender for Endpoint, it can even automatically isolate the endpoint. It can isolate the device or the endpoint on the network if it detects any suspicious behavior. Maybe a piece of malware is attempting to be ran on that endpoint. You can have it automatically clean that malware and only require signed application to run. Almost anything is possible with this, and the basic of this is basically it runs on Azure Logic Apps. And again, this is the key features of Azure Sentinel to be able to automatically respond to these threats using either Microsoft tools or third-party tools. So now let's talk about advanced capabilities. The threats hunting queries that are built in were created by Microsoft security researchers, and they are constantly being maintained. And these are based on common threats that are out there. And as you can see on the right, there are about 199 queries that are built in here, and they are constantly being added to that so that you can run in your environments. And in fact, you can run all the queries, and it will tell you which one that found here in the result column. Okay, and this is an easy way to check to see what is happening in the environment. Is there anything we know about out there due to like current events and current threats that might exist in the environment? And it does align with the MITRE ATT&CK framework and metrics to aid you in investigating and responding to anything you might find. And for those who are not familiar with Jupyter Notebooks, right? So this is a way to not only visualize your data, like what I've shown you just now, but to apply machine learning and do advanced analytics on the data. So a really good example is that you can take your data and combine it with a third-party data, maybe say GeoIP. You can bring up a map of the world to try to figure out where this data is, where these threats might be coming from, or who might be impacting it. Then you can integrate it with Virus Total API to figure out doing scan of maybe potential malware and files to figure out if they are malicious or not. User and entity behavior analytics. So Azure Sentinel tracks almost anything as an entity, and beyond not just beyond users, it creates processes, URL, mailboxes, registry, keys, domain name, apps, and more, which allow us to establish a baseline of the behavior of those entities. And if it deviates from the baseline, that helps us to identify anomalous activities and then potentially identify threats there and to respond to it. So the most important is to respond to it. We could also evaluate what's the impact of that potential threats or whether or not is it a blast radius. So in the screenshot, on the right, you can actually see that it gives you a timeline of that activities that are related to that traits to aid your investigation and your response to it. And most of us are concerned about metrics. That's how we report the impact back to the executive leaderships. And that's how the decisions are made. And those metrics are extremely important. If you can see over the screenshot, you'll be able to visualize those metrics. So every time there's an alert open, it will create that's created. There are specific tables that the data that get created for this that's allowed you to track the time that's been open and how long it took to close it and how long it took for somebody to act on it. These are all sort of interesting insights that are tied to it, and it helps you to provide a better reports to your leadership teams. So that's pretty much I want to share with everyone what is Azure Sentinels, what can Azure Sentinel do, and how Azure Sentinel respond to threats, and how automation and orchestration and actually ease your SOC team. And here are some of the ways to get started with Azure Sentinel. So to anyone out there that are keen to explore what is Azure Sentinel, right? You can actually start Microsoft Azure trial. For there's a free credit out there that you can play around with Azure Sentinel, and then it's pretty much very straightforward. You can open the Azure Sentinel dashboard in the Azure portal and start setting up the connectors out there and start pulling in the data in and try to visualize the raw data. And then you can even connect all sort of third-party data sources out there. And if you want to learn more, you can actually visit this link to learn more about what is Azure Sentinel. Okay. Next, I also I want to go through about some of the service or softline offerings that we offers exclusive for today, right? So one of it is basically we're also offering a complimentary Azure credit for the first month. So for whoever that is keen to explore or wanted to try like Microsoft Defenders for Endpoint or Azure Sentinels, you can always reach us out to our sales team, and then we can set up a time to actually discuss with you, and then offer a month Azure credits for you to test this out. So usually there's a 4-step of approach. So you do assessment on what you plans to try to test it out. So once we have identified what are the requirements that you need, we'll do a design and a deployment phase to identify the network security things, to determine the plan as well, the migration plan, and then lastly, it's to move your workloads to the Azure. So these are exclusively for today, and anyone of you interested can always leave a chat down there, and our sales teams will get in touch with you. Next is basically a free Azure migration. This is only for today. So we're actually offering a free Azure migration for up to at least you need to have a minimum of 30 VMs and we will cover the migrations fee for you. And we also provide a free annual security assessment and consultation that is worth $3,008. All right. Right. Next is basically we are also offering a bundle up a cloud assessment and migration at no cost, which is the promo valid until 19th of November, which is next week Friday. So what we will do is we will kickstart with an assessment first to identify what are the things that you want to move to the clouds, what are your requirements, and then once we have a set of this, you do a proper planning, whether or not you want to rehost your applications. Rehost means retain your current infrastructures and apps in Asia. So you, in a way, you are moving them from your current environments to Asia's only, or you want to refactor it. Okay, refactor means you want to retain the infrastructure, but you want to reconfigure it, maybe using a PaaS solutions. Maybe you want to use a SQL database as a PaaS instead of you want to use it in the infrastructure manners. You want to either rebuild, re-architect the solutions, or and etc. as well. So these are all. Why we do this is because we want to make sure that we invest in the right thing, not just simply moving your servers from locations to another location. All right. And next is basically we also offer Asia Starter offer. So you can actually get started with some of the Asia product out there with no cost, right? So anyone that is keen or interested with this, you can always leave a comment down there, and then our sales team will get in touch with you. Then we will help you to apply for this Asia Starter offer for you, and then you can actually play around with the whatever Asia resources or Asia services that you wish to explore. Okay, and then we can even work hand in hand with you to meet your objective. And next is basically our so-called, because Softline is basically an Asia MSP, and we do offer our managed service in the Asia marketplace. So what we do offer is a regular Asia health check at least 2 times per year to help better understanding the cost and performance in your environment, to provide a best practice assessment. What are the security compliance that you may need to strengthen in your environments? Potentially any saving in terms of your cost optimizations, and some RT architecture consultations as well to you. Okay. Okay. On top of the Asia offering that I mentioned just now, we do provide a pre-made workshop to accelerate the customer cloud journey, helping customers to actually envision how the technologies is able to provide to increase the productivities of your employees. And also, so once your employees became more productive, it actually help you to generate more revenue in terms of your business growth. Okay. And these are some of the MCAP workshops that usually we do to our customers. So we do transitions to cloud. So this is where any of everyone here that is using Microsoft products, or they are not using Microsoft products, we can always do a MCAP workshop with you to go to guide you through the technologies out there, how the technology can benefit, can probably replace some of your work processes. Okay, and like what I mentioned just now, if you work efficiently, could potentially generate more revenue to your business as well. And we do also offer hybrid workplace, especially during the pandemics and the mix right now. Hybrid workplace, I think it's very a lot of company actually practice this. And the most important thing is when your employees or people out there are working remotely, they are actually connecting to unknown network, whereby you don't have you are not able to manage this network. So it's very important uh, to ensure that the securities are in place. So all this workshop actually helps you how you can basically configure this kind of securities that enables you to have a more secure environment, right? And yeah, I think that's pretty much for me. I think that's a quite lengthy one. All right, Rachel, I hand over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Nigel. So before I move on to the next slide, actually, I would like to hear from you a question. So basically, I'm going to post a question here. Yes, I think it's appearing in your screen. So I wanted to find out that would you attend an in-person business event in the next 2 months? Because I would like to hear some feedback from the audience here. So do click and share your feedback. Yeah. So I hope everyone will able to share your feedback. Thanks. I've been receiving, and you guys can also see the votes live, the results. Okay, so while waiting for the end result, I'm going to proceed with this slide. So I would like to invite everyone here for the upcoming events that Softline and Microsoft Malaysia are organizing. So in December, we will have this Microsoft Malaysia presents a Level Up Your Business webinar. And as well as there's another one that's happening in December, Modernize Your Business While Saving Costs. So if you want to find out how to register, do follow us, our Softline Malaysia LinkedIn page, and you may find the registration link from there. So, and then if you would like to contact us, you can actually find, look at our address and also emails, and or a quick one, you can scan this QR code and just fill up the form accordingly. So before we end or move on to a Q&A, so I would like to bring you through the webinar takeaway. So from the first presentation, that's from Yiwi, as you may know that how importance of cloud security, global growth, and the trends that we are moving right now. And as Microsoft has recognized as a leader in the Forrester Wave for Cloud Security Gateways of Q2 or 2021. And then we move on to our topics of today, both Azure Defenders and Sentinels by Kieran and Nigel. Then you may know that how Azure Defenders are part of the Microsoft Defenders protect your multi-cloud or hybrid cloud workloads against threats, while Azure Sentinels works as a SOC, able to detect, analyze, and respond to the threats in a real time. And besides that, thirdly, Nigel has shared quite a numbers of offerings that we are giving to the audience today exclusively. So do scan the QR code or click on the link that I actually share in our chat to find out more. And of course, lastly will be the upcoming Softline webinars. So I believe that you may see that your mic is actually able to unmute yourself. If you shall have any question to either Kieran, Nigel, or even my colleagues here, you can actually unmute yourself and share your questions. We will answer you accordingly. And while waiting for the questions, you may also scan this QR code. It's the same QR code as the previous slides, where you can actually ask for the offerings details or ask for the presentation deck, and you may also drop your feedback of this webinar. Thanks. For just now the poly questions that I actually raised, we have the end result where we achieve a majority that the people here are actually comfortable to attend an in-person event. Thanks. All right, so I believe there's no further question, and we are going to end this webinar session, but no worries, you can still reach us out, as I repeat just now, by scanning the QR code. And thank you very much for your participation, and have a good day and have a nice weekend. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks to our speakers as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you enjoy a great weekend ahead.